2023. Really excited about this episode because we are talking and unlocking Walt's Main Street Story Tour. That's a mouthful.
That is a mouthful. Is that the actual name of the tour?
Yes.
Wow, they should redo that.
They should just say Walt's Tour.
Yeah, I mean, this is what it is. We've wanted to do one of these tours for a long time, and we finally were in Disneyland, and the opportunity arose to go on it, and we did it. And I am going to say right now, I very much enjoyed it.
We really hope that you like this episode because we really loved this tour. We think that this tour is really special, even if you're not necessarily wanting to go to Disneyland. I think this particular tour might make it worthwhile if you're a Disney fan like we are.
I think too, I muted myself there for a second. I think too.
That was me. It's a solo show today.
Yeah, maybe you could do a solo show. They'd probably like that.
No.
You know, there are some pros and cons with this too. So it's not going to be super positive. No, let me just phrase that. It's not going to be super negative.
Oh.
But there are a couple of things that I wish they would do to improve it a tiny bit.
Got it.
But overall, I'm glad we did it. We're going to go into how you can book one for yourself, what exactly it is, and give you our experiences and the things that we enjoyed. Because this was wasn't a very long tour.
90 minutes.
Which is perfect for me.
Yeah.
Because anything more than that, and I was like, I don't know if I'd make it that long.
I'm always concerned about these walking tours. Like, will I be tired? I mean, you're in Disneyland. You're probably waking up super early, maybe not even getting a whole lot of sleep because you're so excited to be where you are.
Or you're on the East Coast like us, and it's your time.
Yeah.
I felt like a time traveler.
I did feel like a time traveler. And so I was always concerned that I would be too tired to really take in. But 90 minutes is perfect.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Before we get into that, though, let's talk about something that we're doing in September.
That's right. We just actually, I'm not sure if you sent an email out. But
No, I didn't. Yeah, we actually sent an email out. When we are going to put this out for Club UTM, we put it out a little bit early for Club UTM. There has been an email that went out. I'm talking in the future now. I'm a time traveler again.
Hey, here we go.
There has been an email that's gone out talking about this cruise that we're doing. It's not a group cruise, but we're going on a cruise, and it's a Halloween cruise, and maybe we want it to be a group cruise, and we want you to come with us. It's September 18th through 22nd, 2023, and it's a Halloween cruise, Constantina.
It's just so funny because now you're excited because I'm super excited about Halloween. I think I'm finally rubbing off on you. Like this year, you came along with me. I say with me because it was my idea down, and we were a tourist in our neighboring city of Salem, Massachusetts. We got to do all these spooky things, and maybe it's because you saw how happy I was that you decided that I think maybe like Halloween.
Maybe I gave it a chance. You know what it is?
Yeah.
I worked in the Salem area for so long.
True.
And forever, I didn't like Halloween, not because of Halloween itself, but because of the fact that I worked in that area and it was so claustrophobic with so many people and so busy and hectic. And I just, in the back of my brain, I just was like, I don't like Halloween.
Yeah.
And then I started doing the podcast. We have the travel agency now, and I don't have to work in Salem anymore. So I can go to Salem just like everybody else and enjoy the Halloween spirit, and maybe that changed my tune a little bit towards Halloween. That being said, this is the kind of Halloween early I want. On a cruise ship, going to Castaway Key. They want to make that mistake again.
Yeah.
It's warm. I'm in my bathing suit. That's the kind of early Halloween spirit I want. Not necessarily in August when I'm sweating to death inside of the park.
So this is going to be fun because it's sort of late-ish September.
Yeah, it's like almost mid-September, 18th through the 22nd.
So, and it sails out of Miami, so it's going to be really warm, and it does go to Disney's private island, which I'm really excited about because it's our family's favorite place. The cruise ship alone is really fun, but the one memory that really stands out for our kids is Castaway Key.
Here's 3 things I'm looking forward to on Castaway Key.
Yeah.
Taking a nap on the hammock.
Yeah.
Renting a bike and taking a bike ride.
Mm-hmm.
And then snorkeling inside the snorkeling area there. Those are the 3 things I'm looking forward to, and maybe hopefully you are too. Here's the deal. If you want to come with us, unlockingthemagic.com/cruise.
Write that down.
Yeah, write this down. Again, unlockingthemagic.com/cruise. Come on a cruise with us. It's Halloween time. You're going to go on the Magic. We're going to be out of Miami. It's going to be warm. We're going to be there if anybody cares.
Jarvis might be there.
Jarvis is definitely going to be there.
Oh,
You'll finally get to meet Jarvis.
He's upgraded from guy in the chair to now Jarvis. We got to get him a new hat.
He's getting with the technology.
Yes, exactly.
So he'll be there. It's going to be fun. So please come with us, hang out. If you're into cruising or you're not into cruising, you want to try it out for the first time, grab your relief band too, because there's a lot of that going around with the cruises.
That. I'll be looking into the waterproof band next.
Yeah, we need that.
So keep going. Yeah.
All right, unlockingthemagic.com/cruise. Come with us.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That's easy.
Back to the show.
All right. I'm really excited to talk about the show, and specifically when we get to the end, it's going to be all about the apartment, Walt's apartment. That's actually the highlight of the tour. I think that alone is worth the cost of this particular tour. Might even have to do it 2 episodes because there's so much to talk about.
No, we're going to cram it into one.
All right, here we go.
Let's go.
Walt Disney's Main Street Story Tour takes guests through the nostalgic streets of Disneyland, complete with the recreations of classic storefronts from Walt's hometown of Marceline, Missouri. Did I say that with a Boston accent?
Yeah, I think you did. Marceline or Marceline? Marceline, Missouri.
The walking tour with a knowledgeable guide leading the way, stopping at key points of interest along the way to give a brief history lesson. And headsets are included during the duration of the tour, so you can be sure to hear every detail mentioned along the way. You don't have to worry about the crowds because you'll have those headsets with you. And at the end, you're invited to... drum roll, Walt Disney's private apartment located right in the heart of Disneyland, right above the fire station. Was originally an exclusive place, but now you get the opportunity. I mean, it's not cheap.
Cha-ching.
Yeah.
Hold on. I think I might have something over here for that.
Okay.
No, I don't have it. I thought I had a sound effect to go along with that, but I made my own.
It's not, okay, it's not inexpensive, and therefore we made the decision as a family to only go with the adults. The parents got to go. I kind of felt bad because our kids do love history of Walt Disney, and I know that they would have loved to be with us in the room, but for 5 people it was too much.
You mean the expense of it?
Yes.
I just think, after doing it, I don't think they would have enjoyed it as much as we did anyway.
Oh, I think they would have, but I think
they would have liked it, but I think they would have rather have done a tour where you get to go on a couple rides behind the scenes, maybe something like that. That's the tour that they would have preferred versus this is like a nerdy, dorky history tour.
That's true, but
and it's right up our alley, not so much theirs.
Our kids are nerdy, dorky history.
That's maybe, but not as much as we are.
Okay, well, starting things off, just so you know, the experience includes the following, which coincidentally, Bruce and I don't think we looked into what it involved very much. Like, I knew it was a story. I knew it was a tour of Main Street, and all I knew was we were going to Walt's apartment. I didn't see any of the other fine prints things because it didn't matter to me. I was going into Walt's house.
Yeah, the main purpose of this tour was to see Walt's apartment. Yeah, everything else was bonus.
Totally. But it was very informational, and I learned some things that I didn't know. And as someone that prides himself on kind of learning the history of Walt Disney and the company, there was a few things that really stood out to me.
I think that they did a great job of giving facts. If you are a hardcore Disney fan, you would have known most of them.
Sure.
Like us.
Yeah.
But if you're an average person who just enjoys Disney and maybe goes frequently, she shared some nuggets that I didn't even really know.
I actually kind of think these kind of tours are also for the non-super Disney fans. Like, if you're going with family that isn't maybe super into it, I think... I'm sorry to throw the dads out there, but we get a lot of messages about dads not wanting to go. And I think this could be the way in to show the person, dad, whatever, a little bit of the back history of how things began. And I think it gives them a new sense of appreciation. I mean, that's how this podcast started. You, Bruce, were not necessarily as into Disney as I was. You didn't get to go as a kid. So it was a little, bit of pulling, tugging, whatever, screaming, crying at first.
I don't know if it was screaming and crying and tugging, but I definitely thought it was the typical, right? Like, yeah. I'm a guy. I thought it was more about kids' rides and princesses. And after listening to some of the books, which is one of the things I think this tour should do, in hearing about Walt's journey to starting the business, changed my mind.
Well, the experience includes the following: a walking tour down Main Street, USA, a visit to Walt's legendary apartment. Everyone talks about the lamp above the fire station. Right. So that is the apartment. Refreshments on the apartment patio.
That was false advertising.
Why is that?
We'll get to it.
Okay. PhotoPass photos of your party with complimentary digital downloads. Did you download them all?
I did.
You're supposed to do it on your laptop, they said, by the way.
Oh, okay. I downloaded it on my phone.
Okay. You do it on your laptop.
Alrighty.
And then also a commemorative lanyard is included. I didn't know anything.
We got a button because we were annual passes.
Oh, that's right.
Which we just got when we were there.
That's right.
So, yay to us.
Yay. All right. So checking in the process and booking. It's very, very easy to book, but one thing to note as of 2023, right now, you not only need a park ticket, which that won't change, but you also need a reservation for your park day to make sure everything aligns, right? So you have to do that, but it's pretty easy once you do it and you arrive. There's a small building. It's just past the entrance.
Yeah, on the left side of the entrance, there you walk through the tunnel like you're entering Magic Kingdom or Disneyland.
Yeah.
And to the left side, there's like a little gazebo. And there's tables around the gazebo. And that's where you check in for your tour. They give you your lanyard. They say, all right, the tour is going to start in 15 minutes. Just wait here. And then they give you their lanyard. And then they ask you what kind of snack you want and beverage.
Not snack. They asked us what beverage.
Yeah, that's my beef.
I didn't know it was a snack.
I thought it was different. We'll get to that when we get to that point.
I was very happy. I don't know. Maybe you were hungry.
And then they give you the earpiece.
Right.
Which is just like a little ear speaker that goes on your ear so you can hear the tour guide talking while there's a big crowd going on around you.
I felt very VIP wearing that, and I actually wish that I had one at home.
I had my sunglasses on. I was kind of acting like I was undercover.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Like looking around, my earpiece on. I'm looking around, making sure no one's doing anything suspicious.
Special Agent Bruce at your service.
That's right.
It was very easy to check in.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
I'm on a mission. I'm with the tour. Can you step aside, please?
I think you did do a good job doing that.
Thank you.
They say to check in 15 minutes before your tour begins. No sooner. They say 15. I think it's because they don't want people congregating too much. Someone like me who happened to be there 20 minutes early, it was fine, but I was just really excited.
There's a nice size area, though, with tables for you to wait while you're checking in.
And there is a little bathroom, a little area so that you can do your thing before the tour begins. So then once the tour began, we had about, I don't know if it was sold out or not. That I didn't check. But
well, there's a maximum of 10 people, and I think we had 10.
Oh, really? I didn't even see that. Okay. So there was a good amount of people.
It was 10 people.
We began our tour at 2 p.m., which to us, the strategy for that was more about seeing and doing everything we could in Disneyland in the morning because that's really when the crowds are a little bit lower.
Yeah, in Disneyland, you want to try to maximize your morning time. That's when you can get on the most things.
Right, but you said and you mentioned on our Club UTM that you wish we took a earlier tour based on the fact that there would be maybe less people on.
Yeah, so when you take this tour, your guide walks you around Main Street, and that's the beginning of the tour, and you follow them.
Yeah.
But it's not private. It's right in public, right around a lot of people. And the one thing I probably would have changed is, especially since we were there a few days, I probably would have picked an earlier tour where you could be on Main Street with a less crowded area, and you could hear, not that you couldn't hear her, but it was distracting with people stopping, kind of trying to listen in on what she was saying, trying to follow her through the crowd and make sure you don't lose her, even though she's holding up this stick so you can kind of find her.
She had it was cool. It felt like follow me kind of flag.
So you could see her. You couldn't lose her, but I thought it would have been better with a less crowded Main Street.
I think for someone like you, I think when you're having someone in your group that has trouble concentrating, sometimes too much hustle and bustle around you, it's not like you said, you could hear her clearly and she was pointing and you were able to comprehend, but also having too many people around you made you feel like you couldn't as well.
You're on this tour, right?
Yeah.
And you paid good money to be on this tour. You don't want to have to move out of the way for people, even though, when you're a person who has manners, you want to not be in the way of people, right?
Just kidding.
So when we're throughout the tour of Main Street, there's probably, what was it, like 5 or 6 stops? Like you go up the right side and then you come down the left side. There's probably 5 or 6 stops where she stops and she tells you a story or a fact about a specific area. While in a couple of those areas, they're right in the middle of the sidewalk where people are trying to go down the Main Street and get to their destination or enjoy their park day. And as someone who's on the tour, you want to be able to all right, this is our area, but you also want to be considerate to the people who aren't on the tour.
Right.
So I thought that it was kind of busy and it was hard to do that.
I actually didn't have a problem whatsoever. I don't know if it's
You
because
never
I'm
have
short.
any problems. I'm the only one with problems.
I'm short, and I just kind of blend in with the crowd, so that didn't bother me at all. And I do have trouble concentrating when there's a lot going on, but I was just so excited to be there that I really didn't notice.
I think the earpiece helps because you're hyper focused on, not hyper focused, but you're really focused on what she's saying, and you concentrate because you do have it in your ear, and it comes in really clearly. Versus if you didn't have the earpiece, you can still hear what she's saying.
Right.
It's just the ambiance of Main Street is very much in the background.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, definitely. But I don't know. I mean, even in the morning times, yes, there is less crowd around Main Street, but you still get the families of crowd, the people that are hustling and walking really fast to their destination.
/ running.
You're not supposed to run, and they're very much on top of making sure that you are reminded not to run. Yeah, everyone's excited. You say, there was this mom, she was holding her daughter's hand. It was the cutest thing. They were so excited because Frontierland opened and everybody was they were walking pretty swiftly. And at one point there was a good jog happening and she was telling her kid, don't run, as she's like.
Perfect example of do what I say, not what I do.
It was just wicked funny because it's something that, there's that boss and then wicked. Is something I would do just because of the pure excitement and being there. But anyway, you always get that. And I think in the morning more, especially because people are trying to get to certain locations before the wait times build up.
Listen, it didn't take away from the experience that much where it was noticeable. Or I just wish I don't know if you do it again. I don't know if this is a tour you need to do again.
It could be if you really want to marinate what you saw in Walt's apartment.
That's true.
Get in that later too.
If I do it again, it'll definitely be at a different time.
Got it. Yeah. All right. Switch it up.
That's
good. Well, as you're going through this tour, like Bruce said, there's many areas where you pause and you reflect. There's a spot where you look at the Mickey Mouse Theater and she talks about, our tour talked about the significance of that location. There's a lot to do with Walt and his history of his hometown. And what really stuck out to me was when our tour guide said that Walt really wanted to immerse guests into a living, breathing town. That was really important to him. And I know, and we know, when you think about Main Street, it really does feel like you are in this beautiful, it's an imaginary town because it's so perfect, but it's just such a great experience to be. And so that's one of the reasons why sometimes when we're going to Disney World or Disneyland and we're going into the Magic Kingdom, I get bummed when my family's guilty of it, but they're like kind of rushing through Main Street because to me, it's a place to really wander, look up and look at the significance of the windows. So to me, it's really important.
One of the things I did wish they still had on Main Street was during the tour, they talked about Walt's experience on Main Street. And when you go into Walt's apartment, which I'm sure you'll get to, some of the things that are furnished in Walt's apartment came from Main Street that he bought with his wife. And you don't get that as much anymore. It's more commercialized now. Definitely.
I mean, there's stores that
it looks great.
Yeah.
But the insides are not what the outsides portray.
So, there are some that still, you can still get a silhouette, and that's really cool, or the glass.
The magic shop in Disneyland is cool, too, to go in there and see the guy doing magic during
Fingers crossed that never leaves, because to me, that brings the experience full circle, and I love it, and I get really excited to go into the shops that actually are what they say in the storefront, and like you said, not commercialized, which everybody loves Disney merchandise, don't get me wrong, but you can go to World of Disney or...
Well, you're walking right through downtown Disney for the most part to get to Disneyland.
Exactly.
So you can just go right over there and buy all that stuff.
So one of the things with Walt also wanting to immerse guests into a living, breathing town is, for example, when you head over to Hotel Marcelin, you will hear a man bathing. You will hear maybe a bloodhound at the detective's office. There's also a dentist office. And to me, that's just part of the fun.
I wonder if people who don't know that go and sit in that area, because there's 3 or 4 tables there.
Yeah.
Maybe they get their coffee or a snack and they go sit there, and then all of a sudden they hear something out of the window and they think to themselves, what is that?
Right.
But it's definitely a sound that would be from part of a Disney movie or film or show. It's not like someone's talking up there that you could mistake for somebody just hanging out up there.
Just, I love that part of it, that it just gives that extra. Or if you go into what is the Starbucks and you can pick up the phone and you can hear conversation. I heard a whole conversation about a woman trying to fit into a dress and she was having trouble with her corset. It was hilarious.
So those are the extras that they put in, and those are the extras that were talked about on this tour that Walt wanted.
Right.
Like he wanted that to be the extras. He didn't want it just to be a phone on the wall. He wanted it to be a phone that when you pick it up, you hear a conversation, because that pluses the experience.
Exactly. One of my favorite stories is actually about Walt and going into Main Street and grabbing some juice, some fresh squeezed juice.
Yeah, this was a great story.
This was really fun and a unique story about him loving this citrus house. It was a sun-kissed citrus house, which was freshly squeezed orange juice. He loved it. According to the guide, loved it so much, they actually bought him a machine so that he could have this juice in his apartment. But it turns out he liked the one that was provided at the citrus house better. So
Which is kind of like, you hear about, you drink a soda from a fountain machine, it tastes different than the soda you get at home.
Yeah, what is that, right?
I don't know, but they do say that it tastes differently in the experience. And the favorite part of this story that the guy told us about Walt was him kind of walking down Main Street. The workers see this gentleman in his bathrobe, walking down Main Street. And at first they're like, who is this guy? And it turned out that Walt was at his apartment and he wanted some orange juice, and he just walked down Main Street in his bathrobe to go get some orange juice. Imagine having that luxury.
That is just, to me, that is amazing, right? Walking down Main Street in your bathrobe. He had the keys to the citrus shop and it was going to make himself a nicely fresh squeezed OJ. And what was even really special about that story was that the workers were obviously so delighted, and Walt probably saw that they were so enthusiastic about seeing him. He spent quite some time with them talking about the history of construction and the future of Disneyland. So what a special...
It just shows you, though, like having passion about something. When you have passion about something, you want to talk about it and you want to talk to it and share with as many people as you possibly can.
Well, now we got to talk about Walt's apartment.
One more thing.
Okay.
If you go towards the end, there's the shop, and they've got these Coca-Cola lights on the top.
Which I knew about this one.
I didn't know about this one.
Oh.
I mean, I knew that they had attention to detail, and attention to detail was something that Disney's known for. But if you look in the corner, there's... somebody miscounted the number of lights, and instead of being able to alternate from red to white, they miscounted, and they couldn't do that. And Walt didn't want to have it out of place, so they made a light that was half red, half white, just so they could keep the sequence in order. And I thought that was a pretty good example of the attention to detail that Walt wanted.
Definitely. There was a lot that went in that I think maybe people miss. And it's the reason why Disneyland is Disneyland, but all those details really made a difference in how the park is and was represented.
All right, now let's get to Walt's apartment.
Walt's apartment. Oh my gosh. So at the end of your tour on Main Street, you are then invited to Walt's tour. It is a special area because in order to access, not only is it a special area because it's Walt's apartment, but in order to access the apartment, you have to go what's considered backstage. So you might be seeing things that you would not necessarily be allowed to see unless you had this ticket. So you might see cast members' break room, which I happened to see a little picnic area, which was really cute.
Yeah.
You might also see someone famous back there.
Who'd you see?
Can't say.
The Dapper Dans?
Yes.
Oh, why am I not supposed to say that?
I don't know. I don't know. They were super cool. We got to see, you don't always get to see that happen, but it just the time and they were out there. We kind of basically walked past each other, which was pretty neat. But
she did say that they're always battling the Dapper Dans because when you go on the balcony, it's overlooking the Main Street Central area.
Oh, and
the Dapper Dans are always performing out there. So she did say, hey, we're always kind of battling with the Dapper Dans during this part of the tour because they're singing and they're loud and we're trying to kind of answer your questions here on the balcony. So that's always a battle that they have, she said.
Town Square, they're always hanging out there and they're very loud. Vocal.
I was a little surprised as to how I didn't know how you entered Walt's apartment, and I was a little surprised as to how you entered it.
So you enter basically through the back door. There's a back entrance. And I asked specifically our guide, I asked, is this how Walt went in? I really wanted to put my myself in Walt's shoes and really pretend I was him, like for a second. And we were told, yes, this antique looking door from, that era, which, by the way, if you love construction and details of properties like I do of that era, you will love Walt's apartment. Just
big, heavy, large door.
They may make them like that now, but it's going to cost you a lot more. And so that's like the infamous thing we talk about in real estate a lot is they don't make them like they used to. So preserve what you have if you have something like that. Anyway, you walk through. Did you ring was there a bell?
It wasn't a bell. It was a bell, but I've never seen it before. It was almost a bell with a knob on the outside that you twist.
Yeah.
And when you twist it, it makes a sound, not like a bell, but almost like a cross between a bell and a buzzer. Mm-hmm. And I twisted it on the way out. I didn't know if I was supposed to do it or not, but I waited till everybody left, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to twist this thing.
We probably should have asked, and now I kind of feel bad. Maybe we should have that part out, but...
And I did it. No editing. We're not editing that
Okay. Out. Well, once you walk in, you will be surrounded by all things cranberry colored. I mean, it's very... I don't want to say bright, because cranberry can be it's like Christmassy colors.
If you have grandparents or parents, if you're older, and they grew up in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, we all had that one room in our grandparents' house that we weren't allowed to enter.
Yes.
This apartment looked and smelled just like that room.
It was very comforting. I happen to love anything like that. So I actually visit like estate sales a lot, and I buy little trinkets. The kids are always yelling at me because...
which Walt liked to do as well.
I know. And I like to surround myself in things of that era for some reason. So to me, it had this very like welcoming scent of like I was going to be served a great meal and hanging out and refresh myself. I don't know. It was a really warm feeling, and you got to enter the apartment through the back, and it's basically a one large studio size room.
Large is stretching it.
I mean, look, if someone's listening to this and they live in like New York City, it's pretty large. It's just depending on where you're from. Okay.
It's the size of a large bedroom.
Yes, but what's unique is that they had a little kitchenette area that you basically had a closet doors that sort of opened it and hid it when it was not in use.
Yeah, so it wasn't a walk-in kitchen. It was almost like a closet that they put a kitchen in there, and then you could close like the folding doors in front of it, so you didn't see it if you were just hanging out in the living room area.
My brain at this point was trying so hard because you're not allowed to take video. And so my brain was...
Oh, you're not?
No, you're not allowed to take video. They do take pictures for you, but you're not allowed to have your phone because they don't want pictures or video.
Well, I think they don't want that because if there was video out there, which there is video out there. If you go on YouTube, there's a video of Walt's apartment, mostly by Disney itself. I think if people saw what it looked like, they wouldn't go on this tour. And I think that you should go on the tour, though, because it gives you a little behind the scenes and you can ask questions.
Yeah, I don't know if they wouldn't. There's just something very special about being in it's very intimate because this was like a studio, so there are couches, but those couches transformed into beds, and not to be creepy, but you're like literally in this person's home.
Living area.
Yeah, I mean, and so...
That's turned into a museum.
You have to, it's almost like just... It's a very powerful experience to know that you were in this room where Walt, with Lillian and his grandkids, sat. So when I was there, I was looking at everything and I was trying so hard because you don't have a long time in Walt's apartment. It's a good amount of time, but for someone like me who wants to notice every little tiny detail, it wasn't enough time.
And you can't wander around. It's almost like the first part of the access to Walt's apartment. She stands in the middle. You kind of stand near the kitchenette, and she's kind of giving you some details and some stories about Walt's apartment. Right. The second half is where people are taking photos. So you have to wait your turn while they take photos. And then after that, she shows you the bathroom, and then you go out to the balcony.
Right.
And so there's not a lot of time or any time really to just kind of wander and look at the little trinkets and cups and decor that they had around.
The decor is very of its time. I really loved the kitchenette setup. In fact, I have some of the items that was in that kitchenette.
Not from Walt's apartment.
No.
We didn't take anything in there.
No, please don't. This definitely not allowed, but I'm talking about the era. There's a cheese toaster from the 1950s. Apparently, Walt really loved his grilled cheese so much and he loved the cheese part that it's like scratched up. The guide showed us like where exactly he would scrape to get every little piece of cheese off his cheese toaster.
Which, by the way, why, if you're going on Walt's tour, it's Walt's Main Street tour, right?
Uh-huh.
You're seeing Walt's apartment. He didn't like cookies.
Oh,
why didn't they give us grilled cheese?
We'll wait for that at the end. Bruce, I can't believe you're so hung up on the snack.
And another thing, what are the chances that the stuff that's in Walt's apartment is actually Walt's stuff?
So that is a good question and something a lot of people asked the guide, and she did confirm that in fact was part of Walt's collection. And I'm sure it's not of major, I can't assume that it's of major value and that they would put it out there where the public could touch. Yeah, so you're not allowed to sit, for example, on the couches or anything, and you're really not allowed to touch anything, but someone could bump into it or whatever. So I can't imagine that when they went through it, if they really wanted to keep anything. One thing what struck out to me was the wallpaper. And what I really liked about the wallpaper was that it was from the era that I thought, but I guess that back then they had some kind of non-flame resistant. It was like attracted flame on the paper itself. So they actually had to redo it, but apparently it was replicated. So there could be some replicated items in there.
I think it's all replicated.
I don't know. But what I really thought was cool was like the kitchenette. You saw the vintage baby bottles. There was originally a set of 3, but a family member wanted one of them. And there was really cool to see the grandkids' baby bottles. Like imagine being Walt Disney with your grandkid. I just, everybody talks about how, being Walt's kid and how it would be so cool to have parent like that. But imagine being a grandchild, because everyone knows that most grandkids are pretty spoiled.
Yeah, especially if you're a grandparent yourself, you want to spoil your grandkids.
Right. So to me, that was really fun to see, and the toys that the grandkids had, so that when they visited Walt and Lillian, they had stuff to play with. And what was funny was that it's just like a regular family. Like you can imagine if you have kids and you want them to spend the day with grandma and grandpa, it just so happens that grandma and grandpa
have an apartment in Disneyland.
Like that's just it. So that was a really fun thing to see and to experience and try to envision. If you go on to the waltdisney.org blog, you'll see, this is the official Walt Disney history blog. You'll see a picture of Walt and Lillian. Walt's on the phone, and there's a picture of Lillian on one of the chairs, and the grandkids are on the floor. It looks like coloring or drawing or something. You see the infamous lamp, which
I asked her about. We'll talk about that in a second.
And everything looks exactly how we saw, maybe minus a couple of decor items, but everything really looked exactly how, I think the carpeting changed and a couple of things, but we were told that at one point there was, it's older plumbing from that time frame, and that there was things that needed to be replaced. But if you go onto this blog, it's really cool. It talks about how this was a second home to Walt Disney, and you can really see Walt's personality and Lillian's in this apartment. And Walt always knew he would need a place to sleep in Disneyland. Back then, there were no freeways. It was difficult to get back and forth. And the park was built while Walt was actually in the middle of producing Lady and the Tramp in 1955. So there was a lot of Walt having to go back and forth from the studios to Disneyland.
So I asked her about that lamp, and she said, because somebody asked us, they said, hey, why is the lamp different? It used to be a different style of lamp.
Mm-hmm.
And she told us that Walt changed things all the time, so they do too. That's basically what was her answer. Walt used to swap it out all the time, so we kind of do the same thing. If it needs to be swapped out, we'll swap it out.
Which, you know what? When you think about it, I mean, yeah, decor items swap in and out on a lot of things at home. I mean, you have something for even a short period of time, either you get sick of it breaks. So that kind of made sense.
Imagine if somebody broke it.
Imagine if
somebody's in there cleaning up Walt's apartment, all of a sudden they bump into the lamp. Oh, I just broke the lamp.
I don't know if that would be a lot of pressure. What is the theme in mind for the apartment overall? And again, you'll see the pictures, but it's the Victorian era because it was a period that they grew up in and the home wasn't of the style. So they really wanted this little Victorian kind of getaway. And
Which it feels like that.
Yeah. And so there's a lot of Lillian in there, and you can see her kind of influence on the colors that were really popular at the time, the cranberry glass, and it dominates the entire apartment. It has this real warm and cozy feeling because of it.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely it does. And then you end the tour with you get to hang out on the balcony overlooking Main Street, USA, have a little snack, which was a cookie.
I liked my cookie.
It was good, but I wanted chili and a grilled cheese.
Yeah, I guess I can see now
I wanted to eat what Walt ate out there.
That's true. Maybe though.
And he didn't eat Dasani in a cookie.
No, he didn't?
No, I don't think so.
The cookie was cute. It was very photogenic. It was like a lemon cookie, and it was really good.
Yeah, it was good. It was like a good cookie, a good souvenir, but you ate it.
Yeah.
But I wish they had. I wanted chili and grilled cheese. That's what I wanted as my snack on the outside balcony.
One of the best memories is something that you actually pointed out to me, and I didn't notice it at first, but it has to do with being in the apartment while others were taking photos, and you poked my shoulder and you said, "Look out the window where the lamp is." And I looked out and I saw Mickey Mouse right.
Yeah, you saw Mickey Mouse right in the center of Main Street, kind of taking pictures and meet and greeting with guests. It was kind of fun to see that. Like Walt. That's what Walt looked at. He looked out his window and he kind of wanted to oversee what was happening out there and see the smile on people's faces. And we got to experience that. There's
memories of many. Spending time in the apartment took some time getting used to. The night before Disneyland's grand opening on July 17th, 1955, Walt climbed into bed at 2 a.m. Quote, "I decided to get some rest, so I got in bed in the little room above the firehouse," end quote. He told his colleagues on opening day. Quote, "Everybody kept waking me up, so I got up and locked the door. When I got up this morning, I couldn't get the darn door unlocked. I had to yell for help." How funny is that?
That's another fun story, too. So it is above the firehouse. There used to be a fire pole in Walt's apartment, and she told us this, actually. One day, Walt was in the apartment, and all of a sudden, he heard something in the corner. And what he heard was one of these young children decided to climb up the fire pole into Walt's apartment. And all of a sudden, he's standing in Walt's apartment with Walt Disney standing right there. And Walt's like, "What are you doing up here?"
Whoops.
So Walt had to escort him out the door and down to find his family. But that's why
funny.
After that day, they decided to take the fire pole out. And that's when they kind of put the porch in there.
I can definitely picture myself a kid in that era and trying to climb up a fire pole.
I think the cool thing is that it originally had a fire pole. Walt slid down and he's like, "All right, I'm going to Disneyland. Just slide down this fire pole."
Another occasion for memory, it says Harper Goff and the famed Disney Dixieland Jazz Band, the Firehouse 5+2, decided that the best place to perform would be the town square fire station, naturally. All went well and the music was appreciated by everyone, except for Walt, that is, who was trying to take a nap.
Oh.
Can you imagine that?
No, I can't. Oh, yeah, I can't imagine that. But, like, that's what you're there for.
It says, but when Disneyland opening frenzy had come a little, Walt settled in, and bringing his family to the apartment was something he very much enjoyed. Joanna and Chris, two of Walt's grandchildren, fondly remember spending their evenings in the Cranberry Hideaway listening to sounds drifting across from the nearby Jungle Cruise.
Which you can hear the Jungle Cruise when you're sitting out on the porch. The Jungle Cruise, Disneyland is so small, the Jungle Cruise boats go right behind it. You can hear the gunshot of the Jungle Cruise. You can hear the animals roaring. You can hear everything that's happening on the Jungle Cruise while you're sitting out there. It's so pretty. It's actually pretty cool.
I think there was two moments that actually really made me feel like Walt or Lillian was the fact that when I saw Mickey Mouse, which is probably not a regular occurrence.
It's got to be timed right.
It's got to be timed right, which, we did take the 2:00 tour. So maybe that's the time that Mickey will be out there. But being also on that patio outside and hearing the sounds of Jungle Cruise really made me feel special.
I was just waving at people. I was like, "Look at me! I'm up here. You're down there."
Hi.
I felt like I had an exclusive area. Well, I did have an exclusive area.
They let me in.
I felt special.
They let me in.
I said, "I'm gonna go inside. Look in the window. You're gonna see me. I'll be right back."
Flicker the light. No, I'm just kidding. Oh my gosh, I was a little. Honestly, if you're asking me, you are you
Were you nervous? Let me ask you.
Okay.
Were you nervous to have me in the apartment?
I was just about to say, I was a little bit afraid that, you have, you're very childlike, and I love that about you, but you're also,
I did almost pick up some of those toys and start playing with them.
Look.
I almost turned on the TV, sat down, put my feet up. I was like, can I have my snack in here instead of the porch? It's really nice in here.
I really just want to go in, sit on the sofa.
It's like a grilled cheese sandwich.
Oh, that would have been.
I brought bread.
What was really interesting to me is that, so Lillian really didn't go back to the apartment after Walt passed. It was a little bit too painful
For her to go to Disneyland.
Right. And it kind of felt a little sad because, yes, it's great that it's now essentially a museum dedicated for them, the family, but really once that happened, it wasn't really used like it was supposed to be.
And I'm glad they didn't really sell out and do a thing where you could stay there. Because as soon as somebody else stays there, it loses its luster.
Oh.
It becomes a hotel room. And
I want to stay there. No, I'm just kidding.
Not something that was designed and experienced by Walt and his family alone, which I think that makes it cool. Like if it was a hotel room and people could pay or win to stay there, I wouldn't want to go visit it.
No, I know. And like we talked about whether or not, a lot of the things are actually true to the time frame when Walt was there. It's still the space. You can feel something in that space. My nickname is like the house whisperer because I go into these houses and I just feel connections, and not to get super cheesy, but like this is something special that I think that they should limit, even having all these people go through with tours. It's fun and all, but I agree with you. It's a lot of, I was actually thinking they're letting us keep our shoes on in my house. You got to take your shoes off.
Right?
You're going on this carpet.
A lot of people walking through that thing.
But it's not the original carpet. So maybe that's the thing.
All right. So a couple things I wish they did differently.
Okay.
Number one, I wish that they gave us better snacks.
Yeah, well, we all know that. You keep going on and on about
I know, but come on. It's you Disney. You got great food in Disneyland. Give me a chimichanga and some chili.
Okay.
The other thing, I wish that they maybe let us wander around the apartment a little bit more.
I think that would have been appreciated for sure, but I do understand that they have to keep control of who's touching what, or like I said, you're not allowed to sit on the sofa or do certain things. So I don't think they would be able to control with maybe that could be an option if there's 5 people.
And I also wish they talked a little bit more about some of the people on the windows of Main Street. I would love to have heard, as we're walking down Main Street, maybe the tour guide point out who some of those people are on the windows and kind of and tell us who they are so we could experience that. Because there was, she's walking, and I wish that while she was walking, instead of waiting to get to the destination, we all have the earpieces on.
Yeah.
She should be kind of giving us some history and some facts while we're on our way.
Got it. She wanted a little bit more.
Yeah.
They did talk about Elias Disney and his window and him being the contractor, and that was cool. I think that there was some reference of the windows, but I get it. There's a reason why, though. It's a 90-minute tour and cost X. Maybe it could be another tour. And
True.
Who knows? I don't know. But I had a lot of fun. On the patio, what was also fun is that you actually got to ask questions with your tour guide, and she was extremely helpful and answered them to the best of her abilities. Some of the questions were really just to get to know the stories about the family and what happened, and just certain events that you probably could Google, but it's just hearing it from her. It was different and an expert. I really very much enjoyed the tour a lot.
I'm definitely going to be on game for another tour. We'll have to try to see what other tours are available.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would do this one again, but it was definitely something that I'm glad I did. And if you are into the history and you do like Walt, I highly suggest you do this tour at least once.
It was fun at the end of the patio when
I was waving to guests.
When you were waving to, you actually asked, "Can I shout from here and say that I'm up here?" And she's like, "You can wave, but no, I would refrain from shouting." No. That's like not
appropriate.
Our tour guide name, by the way, I don't know if we mentioned it, but her name was Trisha, and she was really great. One of the things I thought was cool was once we were on the patio, Trisha talked about certain stories, and one of them was the tour guide being one of the tour guides that Walt really loved a lot, and it was the last appointed ambassador by Walt himself. Happened to be named Connie, and I was
right, that's
so
right.
excited because I don't really get to hear the name Connie very often. I don't know if it's an uncommon name where we are, but it was just really cool. Got really excited.
Well, because it's Conga Connie. What are you talking about?
It's
We got a whole
Conga
boat named after you on the Jungle Cruise.
Really fun.
I don't have that.
It got really, my ears poked out. Right.
I have a shark from a Nemo movie.
That's true.
But yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was great. I know you enjoyed it, and you would suggest people go.
Definitely.
How did you book the tickets, by the way?
It was pretty easy over in the app, but you can also go to our website at Unlocking the Magic Travel, and you can get linked up with one of our amazing travel agents now. Thank you so much for all your support, by the way, those that have reached out. We really appreciate all your help in creating the very best Disney travel agency. I know that there are many out there to choose from, but we really pride ourselves in standing out and making a difference and really using the philosophy of this show to help you guys have the best experience.
We built the community of agents inside of our company, kind of like we've built Club UTM community.
Yeah, and thank you at Club UTM. It's so much fun.
It is a lot of fun. ClubUTM.co if you want to join that. And again, we're going on a cruise in September. We would love for you to come with us. UnlockingTheMagic.com/cruise. You can get all the info about the ship, the itinerary. There's a little bit about pricing, but obviously that pricing is going to adjust as we get closer to the cruise date. Cruises work where it's almost like supply and demand. As the demand gets higher and the supply gets lower, the price goes up. So if you do want to book it for the lowest possible price, highly recommend you do that sooner than later.
And it's only a small deposit to book it. So if you're kind of wishy-washy, just do it.
Yeah, so you have, I think we booked a couple rooms. One, it was $200 for a deposit approximately, and then you have till June to pay the rest.
Yeah.
And you can make payments along the way too. So you can pay a little bit as you go, so you don't have one lump payment. And it was relatively affordable for a cruise.
And if you can't make this one, there's going to be really exciting. It's called a double dip at our favorite island, Castaway Cay. I'm super excited about this. It's going to happen in 2024. So if you're looking at a cruise at a later date, let us know because I'm so pumped about
Castaway Cay?
Yeah, go
Sorry.
ahead. You can call it Castaway Cay.
I don't know why I want to call it that.
Because it's spelt that way.
I almost want to say my brain tricks me. And it's like I know it's Key, but I want to say K. But anyway. I'm looking forward to that. Castaway Cay, whatever. It's my favorite place. I can't even say it. Never mind.
I just want to be there. I just want to be warm. Bruce and I, you could tell that we just got back from California, and even though it was raining a few days, it was a lot warmer than Boston. It just snowed a bunch for us, so we're ready.
I am ready to go.
We're ready for some humidity.
I am always ready for humidity.
I know, it's true.
Word of the show.
Yeah.
Humidity. UnlockingTheMagic.com/cruise if you want to join us. Again, thank you to everybody who's listening to the podcast. Leave a review there, too, if you're listening to this on Spotify or iTunes. I think that's going to do it for this episode, and I think we hope you like it.
We really hope you enjoyed this one. Get into this episode with us. I don't know what I was just going to say, but I should have just said bye.
See ya.